often, they were writing to the radio program letters very often, sometimes 4, 5, 6 times a month, and you could tell that there was a desire to really, really be part of something bigger, really to go through a life change, to promote social change. There was a clear profile of leadership in those women, and this is how we created our empowering training program for women. This was the first time for them that attended to a workshop. We basically work on the same issues that we spoke in the radio program. It was gender equity, rights, non-violence, prevention, and health in general, and the environment, the forest, how to take care of it. And after a year of women becoming leaders for the very first time in their communities where sometimes they were not even allowed, to vote or to raise their hands and express their opinions in assemblies, we're now having this leadership and being elected as leaderships for the communities. So we conducted an evaluation gathering where we asked the women, so where are we now? Where are we going in this process? And one of them stood up in front of me and told me, you know what, Eliana? Now I know that violence is wrong. I'm strong enough to stand up and say no to my husband when he wants to beat me. But what do I do with my niece who lives close to my house? And she's pregnant and she's beaten every night by her husband. And I answered, but what would you do? And she said, I already spoke with the authorities, but nothing happens in my community. The guy keeps doing what he's doing. So we said, okay, so what would you like to do to support your nephew? And she said, we need to do money. We need to have income, generating projects. So I can afford the gasoline to take my niece to a police station and put a formal complaint. And that's what we did. We started the income generating and natural resource management component of our institutional model. And since then, women have been able to produce their own resources through handcrafts, agroforestry farms, vegetable gardens. They are reforesting. They are doing many things that are allowing them to produce the resources so they can execute the rights they are learning about. They mainly invested in supporting other women, but also taking care of their health emergencies, sometimes better nutrition, sending boys and girls to school because they have power over the money they are producing. So this is basically what we have been doing, and researchers conducted about the impact of this program in communities have shown that since then there is a decrease in violence against women and children. There is an increase of women leadership. There is much income who has, raised the level of livelihood, is that the word? Of these families in general. Girls and boys are having more chances now. And after all these years, we are now evaluating where are we now in this process? Where are we going 25 years after that? And some of the women said to me, many years ago, we wanted to survive, but now our children want to thrive. That's what they want. These kids have been raised in different families. They have seen their mothers come to the workshops in our training center close to the river. They have been coming often with them since they were very little. They know, they have seen that better things are possible and they can do it if they have support. And this is where are we now? We are in our 25th anniversary, sharing with the people these people-centered climate resilience and youth entrepreneurship programs. These youth leaders are leading the process now. They are not doing only projects for them. They are sharing what they are learning with schools. They are visiting other communities to share with other youth things about the forest, things about themselves, their rights, inspiring. They are producing radio programs, in the micro radio programs, in their own communities, using their loudspeakers. They are concerned about the environment and what's going on in the Amazon now with this climate change and the negative effects that they are going through. So this is what we have been doing, and our concern now is we want to make this process self-sustainable. Of course, the most important key element of sustainability for processes like these are the people, their commitment, but they have shown they have a strong commitment with this. They are the protagonists of this change. And our role now is to facilitate initiatives that may do this stay alive in time. No? And this is where Minga Tour came as an opportunity, inviting people to come and share this process, get inspired, and exchange with the leaders who are doing the change, the ones who are making things possible in the communities, in this beautiful place that the Amazon is. This is how Pastor Sue said, I met her, Pastor Sue and Linda, and since then we have been developing this relationship that I found very interesting, very powerful, because it's based on similar values, lots of respect. We are co-designing this program together. And every time I get to know more and more the community, I'm more excited that we are doing this, because I think that at some point, this might be also not a model, but maybe, hopefully, something that can get other communities inspired to be part of. This is a very alive, organic process. We are co-designing it. And the beautiful thing about this trip would be that, and what makes it really unique is that you guys, if we are so lucky to have you visiting our communities, you will see the impact firsthand of your support. Because since day one, I visited First Presbyterian Church in Lincoln, Nebraska. They started to get involved actively, and you guys have been supporting projects in the communities already. So when you come, it will be quite a time enough to see the results of what you have been supporting and being part of. Any question?
Thank you so much, Eliab. That was a great intro, especially for those who have not heard any of it before. So let's dive right into the PowerPoint, which will talk about the trip. And I think because of just the ease of keeping our mic off while they're doing the presentation, make note of your questions. And after Kimberly walks us through the basics of the trip and what we're looking at, we can ask all the questions we want. So I will mute ours again and let you take over, Kimberly.
Okay. Actually, before you mute, can you just let me know that you can see my screen? You should see the first slide. You're invited on a Minga tour.
Yes, we can see it. It looks good.
Perfect. Oh, good. Great. Okay, let's dive right in. So what I'd like to do just for the next maybe 10 or 15 minutes is walk you through what a Minga tour would look like. We'll go through each day, and you'll get a sense of what you'll experience. So Minga Tour is an incredible opportunity to experience the Amazon rainforest through the eyes of the communities where Minga works. That means it's just a truly authentic experience. This is not a tourist attraction at all. This is about making authentic connections. On a Minga tour, you'll visit one of the most beautiful and biodiverse places on the planet while participating in and supporting people-centered climate resilience initiatives, which you'll hear all about soon, led by the youth. So depending on flights, we don't know what time you'll arrive, but on day 0, you arrive in Peru. You fly straight into Lima, and the first night will be at a beautiful hotel called El Señorial here in Miraflores, which is a really, really pretty part of the city, right on the water. It's about 2 blocks. The hotel is about 2 blocks from the Pacific Ocean. And hopefully we'll have some time to eat here because the food in Lima is amazing. On the first day of Minga Tour, you get to have a couple hours with Eliana. So she is the co-founder and CEO of Minga. She walks the group through the model of Minga, what makes it so unique, how and why we focus on people-centered climate resilience and what that looks like. And that's a great setup for the week that you'll experience. It's kind of the lens through which you'll be able to understand the communities that we go into and what we're doing there. And then we go straight back to the airport, fly from Lima to Iquitos. It's a little over an hour flight. And we'll spend the second night in Nauta, which is a very, very small city about an hour away from Iquitos. And all of this is to kind of get to the Amazon where we're going. Iquitos is the capital of the Amazon region. And Nauta is a small port town outside of it. From Nauta on the third day, we'll travel by boat along El Rio Marañón to Tambo Minga Training Center. And a lot of the transportation for the next few days will be by boat. They are very safe boats. We use only the safest and most secure and most licensed forms of transportation. So, and all transportation is included in a Minga tour too. So from the buses to and from the airport, any taxis we use, and the boat rides, all of that is included. We arrive at Tambo Minga Training Center. So this is both where all the women and youth come to do the trainings that Eliana described. So you get to be right in the middle of it. It's also a beautiful, just rustic, gorgeous, peaceful, very, very tranquil space. It feels to me a little bit like a summer camp. So you have these cabins, there's bunk beds. We get to spend some time here. And this is also where a lot of the seedlings are grown, which are later distributed to the communities. So a big part of the people-centered climate resilience that Minga does is reforestation with the youth, alongside the communities. And so far, we've reforested 100,000 tree species that are all native and many endangered. And a lot of them are born here at Tambo Minga. The very first activity we'll have is to learn to make juanes, which is a traditional Amazonian food. It has a rich cultural and spiritual history. Really, it tastes amazing. So you'll get to learn from the women, the promotoras, the women who are the core of Minga. They will be giving us a cooking lesson, and that also leads to lunch, which we'll eat our juanes. The next session will be with Professor Pascual Akituari. Sorry. He is a professor of Kukama, and he is Kukama. He is such a wealth of knowledge and information and wisdom about the Kukama culture. So he will give a session about the origin, the worldview, and the spirituality, and the role of nature in this indigenous culture. Which is so important it's fascinating too. It's also so important because as we go into these communities, kind of having that sense of this is the backdrop, this is the background. And there's just so much richness there. There's so much opportunity to reflect also on our own spirituality, learning from the Kukama. Okay. Also on day 3, we'll visit our first community, which is the Amazonas. We'll travel there by boat, and an educational session there that we'll experience is empowering women and youth leaders to achieve gender equity and social change. So here in this community, it's a very small community. I think there's about 200 people living there. We'll get to meet the women and the youth who are working toward this change, and we'll learn how, and then we'll hear their stories. Also that afternoon, we'll have the opportunity to purchase crafts directly from the artisans. The Kukama are very, very creative. They make these beautiful, beautiful crafts. A lot of the women are artisans, and that's their livelihood. So we'll get to visit the market, which directly supports them. We'll also have the opportunity to go on a canoe ride through this beautiful brook. Soon after we took this picture, we saw a sloth hanging on a branch over the boat, so that we're, looking for animals. Like it's right through the rainforest, and it's just so beautiful. And then we'll learn about the crafts that I was talking about. So directly from the artisans, how they are transforming their crafts to be sustainable. So we'll learn about how it's harvested, how it's dyed, and we'll actually get to make some of the crafts with them too. So it's both educational, and it's all, as most of this trip is, I would say all is very, very interactive. You're not sitting there being kind of an observer. You are part of this. You are part of the action, the community here. The following day, we'll visit a different community. This one's called Puerto Prado, and this one is tiny. I think there's about 60 or 65 people living there. And here, this picture is us in the school. And all the kids were just so many young children there, and they were so excited. They, in all the communities, really, we were just greeted with such warmth and such welcome. It's you can't help but just feel so warm and just glowing when you meet these communities who are so excited to host us. And here we'll learn about the revitalization of the indigenous Kukama language through educational projects with children. And this picture on the right here is numbers in Kukama. So that'll be part of that experience, is learning a few words in Kukama and learning about the children's experience with that and how it's being revitalized. Thanks in part to Minga's efforts, as well as, of course, the communities. So all lunches that we have while we're in the communities are in the homes of families, prepared by the promotoras and or the youth. So it's very authentic, and it's just incredible to be welcomed straight into their homes. And it's using many of their own homegrown vegetables and fish from their projects that they are working on. And there's just something so special about eating food that someone has produced. So that's a really incredible time. I will say too, in terms of safety, which we'll talk about at the end, all the food is provided by Minga. We're very, very careful to make sure that it's prepared in safe ways with potable water. We provide all the drinking water on the trip. Um, Always those preparing the food use gloves and masks. So we're very aware of any possible kind of just keeping it clean, keeping it safe. And fortunately, to this day, we've never had a problem with food safety. So our next educational session is a hike through the rainforest, accompanied by many of the children who are doing a lot of reforestation around this area. So they're so proud of it. They're so excited to show us. Along this hike, we also had a guide who was teaching us about the cultivation and use of many of the sacred and medicinal plants. And I will say too, depending on the group that's coming, this isn't, a one size fits all trip. We are so excited to meet the people who are coming and to get to know them a little bit beforehand. And if we know that you want more hiking or you want more of any particular aspect of this, that's an option. So some groups, we have a group from Colorado coming, and of course they're very into hiking. So we'll be doing a lot of hiking with them. So that's something to keep in mind. This is a really special part. We get to go take a boat ride to visit the birthplace of the Amazon River. A lot of people don't know that the Amazon is actually born in Peru, and it's a really, really special place. It's the confluence of two other rivers that come together to form the Amazon. So one thing that we do during the hike, just earlier that afternoon, it's optional if you want to pick up something that you would consider an offering. Maybe it's a stick or a leaf. Here, this is a picture of my offering. That's an aguaje, which is a fruit, and a culantro leaf, which is cilantro. And that was my offering. That's something we encourage people to do, and there's time and space for it. Of course, it's optional if you want the time to kind of reflect and think about your own experience. This is a really powerful place and time to do it. Okay, got a couple more days. On the following day, we'll go to the San Francisco community, and our time there will be spent meeting the young entrepreneurs, working alongside of them in their income-generating projects, and learning about their commitment to climate resilience. So here's a picture of us working on one of the youth's fish farms. So I know we keep saying income-generating projects, and that's part of the people-centered climate resilience approach. One example of those is a fish farm. Another would be a vegetable garden. Another would be a fruit orchard. So all of these things are income generating. They allow the youth to whether it's garden or care for their fish, and then take their products to market. They are generating their own income. They're learning how to manage it. During this day at San Francisco, they'll tell us exactly what they're doing with it. They'll tell us how much they're investing, how they're saving, what they're buying with their income, which is often school supplies, medical supplies, and helping their families care for their homes. And that little boy in the front, not little, he's a teenager. The boy in the front who's facing away in the red T-shirt, his name is Sandro, and this is his fish farm. So I think he's 15 years old. he was directing us. He was saying, okay, that wheelbarrow goes there. We need to, fortify that dam over there. He was kind of in charge. And it was just a lot of people's favorite part of the trip was this hour or so that we spent helping him dig his fish farm. So that was pretty incredible. Also, this is optional too. I realize that we know it's hard work to be digging, especially in the heat, in tropical heat. So all of this is optional, to the extent that you want to participate in this. We would love to have you. Okay, then another activity this day is we plant trees as part of the community reforestation efforts. That's a really special moment too, because it means that you are adding to the rainforest. You are changing it in a way. And by now, a lot of people are feeling really kind of emotional about the trip. It's so moving to be there, and so it can be a really powerful ritual in a way to plant something, because then you can come back and see it. You can come back and track its growth, and that's sort of your little part of the Amazon rainforest. So a lot of people feel kind of connected. It's sort of a way of symbolizing and fortifying your connection to this place. There's also time, as there will be throughout the trip, for reflection, as well as a closing session with Eliana, who, if she's not there in person, she will tune in by Zoom and do a kind of a writing exercise to help you reflect and really think about your time here and make sure that you're coming away with it, away from the trip with that sense of introspection. So day 6, we go back to Iquitos, which is the capital city of the Amazon region. It's about 500,000 people, and it's a really, really interesting place. I won't go into it now, but we have the whole day, most of the day, to explore. Or that's a picture of the hotel we stay at up at the top. You can kind of just rest by the pool, enjoy the air conditioning. So that's day 6. Day 7, we return to Lima. If you want, some people like to tack on a trip to other parts of Peru, such as going to Machu Picchu. We at Minga don't facilitate that, but of course it's an option. I highly encourage it, of course. So that's a week. Let's see. Oh, here's a testimonial from one of our students at SMU who came. This was a few months ago, just unprompted, out of the blue. She just said, "This has been the best day of my life." So of course I had to write that down and use that as our testimonial, because it's that powerful. It's that incredible to be honest. We have a quick video to hear a little bit more from them, and I know we're being mindful of time. So let's watch this, and then we'll have a couple more slides, and then I'll be done.
Kim, I don't think the video is playing.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think the video is playing.
Oh, sorry about that. I have to share a different tab. So thank you for that.
Now we can see it.
Okay.
The Minga tour is one of the most transformative experiences I have seen. The student feedback I've received has also been universally strong and positive, echoing my perception.
I was completely immersed in communities that live in harmony with nature and each other. And what I learned from their traditions and way of life has left a lasting impact on how I view the world and my place in it.
But this one was so unique in that it was really focused on the relational aspect of getting to understand the communities there. We were able to form connections and just talk with them about what their lives are like, which is a really interesting experience that you don't get to do all the time.
I felt so extremely connected to myself and the people in the communities, even without being able to speak their language, which I think speaks volumes. And I've now hopefully created a long life relationship with Minga Peru, which is the absolute best representation of what a nonprofit should be. They've done such amazing work for these communities while still upholding their culture and values, and I'm honored to be a part of it now.
Organizing a trip of this type through a leading regional NGO, rather than through a traditional study abroad provider, brings significant benefits. Our group was welcomed heartily in the many rural Amazonian communities we visited. This welcome was due to the relationships and the trust that Minga Peru has developed through more than 25 years of working in the Peruvian Amazon. Ethically, I felt very comfortable entering these vulnerable communities, knowing that we had been invited by them. Getting to hear directly from indigenous community leaders and from Minga's professional staff opened the door to significant learning and research possibilities. We engaged topics such as people-centered climate resilience, indigenous rights and cultural revitalization, leadership development for women and youth, ecosystem diversity, and healthcare education and traditional medicine, and much more. The Minga Tour will appeal to a wide range of students and scholars, making the task of meeting minimum trip numbers much easier. The health and safety protocols of the Minga Tour were second to none. Multiple members of the Minga staff helped us to prepare our trip proposal for administrative approval at SMU before the trip, and then traveled and stayed with us throughout the entire journey. I'm simply making this video because I am a big believer, a true believer in the power of the Minga Tour to provide exactly the type of learning experience that will help higher educational institutions forge better leaders, change makers, and advocates at a time when the world desperately needs them. I will be happy to speak with anyone who may want to learn more about how the trip could benefit their research, their students, or their institution.
Now we should be back on the slideshow. Let me know if we're not.
Yes, we are aware.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so very quickly, I think I have 2 more slides here, and this is also information we can send you and go into more depth later. But just in case you're wondering about what do you bring, how to pack, light breathable clothing, long sleeves and pants, comfortable shoes for hiking, hat. It is very sunny. It is hot. It is rainy, depending on the season, more so at certain times of year. So clothes that feel comfortable and will help you feel good in the sun. There are a lot of mosquitoes, but we're always back at either the hotel, depending on where we're staying, or at Minga before the mosquitoes get really bad. Sunscreen, bug repellent, flip-flops and sandals. For showering, waterproof rain jacket. We provide mosquito nets and rain boots, and we provide water 24/7. Health and safety. So if you're wondering about vaccinations, we go by what the CDC advises. So check for updates on that. Food, like I was saying earlier, we're very, very careful about all food preparation. If you have food allergies, we do need to know that in advance. Most or all are workable. We just need to be able to plan for it. In the Amazon, it's going to be a lot of fish, chicken, rice, fruit, so many different kinds of fruit. So just knowing that ahead of time. Although comida de la selva, like food from the rainforest, is really, really delicious. So travel insurance, we do require each participant to have their own travel insurance, and we don't provide it. We are connected with all the top clinics, and we have emergency plans. We have fully stacked first aid kits, and you're constantly, on a Minga tour, you're always with at least 3, usually 4 or more. I want to say, there's just a lot of Minga staff around. So if anything were to happen, we would be there with you. We would absolutely accompany you. Thankfully, we've never had an emergency like that. So we're fully planned and prepared for it. That's all that I have for you. The rainforest is waiting for you. So we hope that, hope you can come. It's such a powerful experience. And I will pass it over now to Eliana or Sue, whoever wants to speak next.
I wanted to say that I'm not able to be in all the trips. I'm planning to be in this one.
Okay, thank you so much. That was great information. And so I think a couple comments, and then I'll open it up for questions, both for the folks here in person and online. People are always asking, well, when are you going to do it? It depends on who wants to go. So this is our informational meeting to kind of give you just the bare bones of what it's about. And then please email me. You should all have my email address. Email me and let me know if you think you seriously might be interested in going on the trip. And then we will have a follow-up meeting, again, hybrid with, online, or maybe we just might do it online. Who knows? That might be easier for anybody who's interested. And we will figure out the time that works best for that group. So if there's some of you here going, yeah, it's interesting, but no way I could do it next year, we're not going to worry about your schedule as we plan the trip. So if that makes sense, once we know who's interested, we'll figure out what date works for the most number of people. And in terms of cost, what we've been looking at is everybody's responsible for their own cost for getting down to Lima. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, we were looking at about $2,000 for while we're down there, which is pretty much all inclusive. There might have been a meal or two that wasn't. But other than that, basically everything's included in that, including a donation to Minga, Peru. So it's really, really affordable. But as I've also said, especially for our folks that are members of this church, don't let finances keep you from saying, I want to go, because we want to find a way where anyone could go, not just those with means. And we've got resources, we can figure that out. So don't let money stop anybody from saying that they're interested in going. So let me open it up for questions. We got in person and for those online, just go ahead and turn on your video, unmute yourself, and wave your hand, and I'll call on you, and that might be the easiest way to do. So, what questions do people have? No, Paul.
Does Peru require a visa on your passport?
Does Peru require a visa? I don't believe so, but yeah, no visa required. But I do think a lot of countries require your passport to be good for 6 months after your trip. Cindy and I had that conversation earlier, so make sure your passports are up to date with at least 6 months on there. Other questions?
Julie, I see you're raising your hand.
Yes. How strenuous is this trip going to be? Is it something that we're going to be walking like 5 to 10 miles? Is it?
Okay, so Kimberly, who wants to tackle that one? How strenuous is it?
Yes. No, we are designing together the trip with you guys. So it depends on who's coming. Sometimes there are more adventurous activities, more hiking, those more activities around that. There are groups who want more to have activities, slow down, and then have a vacation time. And we design based on that. So nothing is like cookie cut or written on stone. We are co-designing this trip for the community, your community. So no.
Okay, so just to help out a little bit, in the room that we're in, the speaker is not very good. So if I understood correctly, Ileana, it's not overly strenuous, and pretty much people can choose what level of activity they want. If they want to go on a hike, they can. If they don't want to, there really isn't a lot of walking involved because we're taking boats to places that we're going to. And I do remember Ileana saying from a different conversation that if there's someone with mobility issues who wants to come, go ahead and come, because they will work around that. They will make it work so that no matter what your physical ability is, you can participate. Okay. Other questions? I might ask, does it matter in terms of temperature and humidity what time of year we go? Because I know Sherry wants to know that.
Can you repeat again the question in terms of temperature? What?
Okay, does it matter what time of year you go in terms of temperature and humidity?
Yeah, it's always basically the same. No, it's the level of the river changes, but it's not something that we can say is dramatically different. no? June, July are less hot. I will send you the information confirmed with people who are experts on that. But I would say that it is hot, not so predictable. It can rain, and we have always a plan B when it happens to do other activities. Yes, it's hot, and humidity is also high, but we can work it out in ways that we can manage it without feeling bad. I can send you the exact information of the degrees for next year, and also the confirmation of the months who are going to be as hot.
Okay, that would be great to see that information kind of broken down by month. But it is close to the equator, so it's not going to be a huge variance in terms of temperature and humidity.
Right.
But a little bit more rain some months than others. Okay, other questions? Boy, quite a group here.
Or comments, no? So it could be also comments. Any comment that you have is useful for us.
I didn't quite catch that. Any comments about what?
Any comments that you have regarding this presentation or the Minga tour or Minga are welcome. It's important for us to listen to your reactions. And I'm not there to see your faces, so just to hear some opinions is super useful.
And I have a feeling the rest of you are hearing that better than I am because I'm behind the speaker. Okay, yeah. Well,
they should know that the PowerPoint was sensational, and I thought it was really helped me understand it.
okay, I don't know if you heard that. The PowerPoint was sensational and it really helped one of our folks understand it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll jump in too real quick. I hope you can hear me okay. If I know for me, after a presentation like this one, a lot of times I don't have questions until like the next day, you know, and a week later. We are absolutely here to answer any questions, whatever Sue thinks is the best way. If you want to come directly, come through Sue, all of that works for us. We're here, always excited to do the tour. So please feel free to stay in touch with us. However, yeah, whatever you think.
Did you all get that? Again, I'm behind, so I'm not hearing everything. Okay, thank you. I'll have to listen to the recording for some of the stuff. It's part of the setup of our room is a bit challenging here. So, well, I'm going to say at this point, since there's not a ton of questions, if anybody has any questions, just email me, and if I don't know the answer, I will be in touch and get that answer for you all. I will send out the recording, such as we have it. It started a little late before that little pencil mark for the recording finally showed up, but we got it for the majority of it. I will send that out to everybody who got the original email, even those who aren't here today. Feel free to share that with anybody else who you think might be interested in going. We can have, I think it's 14 to about 24 people on this trip, so we've got space. And if you think you might seriously be interested in going, email me and let me know, and we will schedule a follow-up so we can, see if there are any more questions and figure out when we want to go, because that's really the main thing, is getting it on our calendars. And then we'll talk about finances if we need to for anybody there. So, are we good? Any other questions? Thank you so much, Ileana, Kimberly, Alvaro. This has been really helpful. You conveyed the story a whole lot better than I could have. And I'm looking forward to getting out there sometime next year.
Thank you so much to all of you for making the time on a Sunday at this time of the day to hear. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for welcoming us in the community. And I'm very looking forward to receive you in Lima and in the Amazon as well.
Okay, thank you so much, and we will let you three go, and everybody else is online. We'll let you go, and we'll go home from here and have some lunch, catch whatever's left of the volleyball game. So,
Thank you for putting this on. I appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Julie.
Bye, thank you, everyone. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.